pull my door closed, ready for another day of classes. Sleep well? Kenji's sudden arrival makes me jump, and I narrowly avoid butting heads with him. I know he has poor eyesight, but he knows who I am now. Does he still have to stand this close? Of course, he wants to inspect every inch of our body. Oh god. Oh yeah, like a baby. Damn, why do people have to say that? Have you ever heard a baby sleep? They scream all night, every night. Babies don't sleep well, ever. Well, there goes my restful state. I have to remember not to use figures of speech with Kenji. Alright, I get your point. It was just a figure of speech. Yeah, sure, whatever. Where were you last night, man? I had a favor to ask you, but you weren't around. For a split second, I considered telling Kenji the truth, that I was spending time with Hanako and Lily. Thankfully, that split second passes as soon as it came. I was just out, checking out the local area and stuff. You know, recon, yeah, checking out the local girls with the tea sets and everything, you know? Yeah. Good, man, good. I knew you were the type to plan ahead. Anyway, what was this favor you wanted? I was going to get some takeout, but I need a change. Oh no, I feel like half of the requests, whenever Kenji does come to us for something, half, if not more of it, is actually just to borrow our money. Quote unquote borrow, right? He's just saying he's borrowing it, but he's never giving it back. Wait, what? I gave you money last week, and you still haven't paid me back. Yeah, and I was starting to think you were cool. Yeah, just giving away free money. Kenji fishes around in his pocket and produces his wallet. And as he counts out the 400 yen he owes me, I can clearly see at least two 10,000 yen notes. What? Hey, what the hell? Why are you borrowing money off me when you've got that much cash? Kenji hisses a little, realizing that he's been had. Get off my case, man. It's a bad luck to break a big note for anything less than half its value. It's the tycoon's rule. Last night's dinner is going to cost me 7 years of bad luck. 7 years! Don't you think that's enough cost to help someone out? I'd get a shorter sentence if I just stole the stuff. My common sense screams at me to say something to him, but thankfully, I restrain myself. Arguing a point like this with Kenji will just lead to further and more complicated discussions. Yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe you should plan these things a little better. Yeah, man, I know, but I've just got so much stuff to do. It's hard, and you're never around anymore, so I'm on my own. Weren't you always on your own? I never considered us, to be a duo or anything like that, You're just somebody that lives across from me. We're supposed to be brothers in brotherhood, remember? Yeah, I get you. Global conspiracy and such. Yeah. I'll keep my ear to the ground. In case the women go underground. Kenji draws close enough for me to get a clear whiff of his garlic-tainted breath. You'd better, man. You're already spending less time here. That's the first thing they do. They'll try to split us up. Divide and conquer. Sun Tzu said that. Roger that. Now, I've got to be going. I've got classes. You coming? Nah, I'm tired. I stayed up all night just to make sure nothing was going to happen after splitting that note. As rational as ever, I see. Yeah. So what is he saying, that he's going to stay up 7 years? Right? Because he said 7 years of bad luck, and seeing as he's actually on the lookout, seeing if any bad luck is going to approach him, he's gonna have to stay up for 7 years, which is actually impossible, because you'll actually... can you die of lack of sleep? I don't think... that sounds such a weird thing. I just think your body automatically just, I know one thing that I do know is that if you go without sleep for too long, you actually start having these micro sleeps where you're just where you're actually kind of half awake, but your brain just shuts off for like a minute or two or something along those lines, and when you're actually sort of sleeping. But yeah, I also think you sort of start to hallucinate at some point as well due to lack of sleep, but that's gotta be like, I don't know how many hours, like 50 plus if not more. But yeah, I'm not sure if you could actually die from lack of sleep. That would be rather weird, but I feel like at some point your body just like decides, okay, you gotta sleep now, there's nothing you can do about it, and it just goes into sleep mode like your laptop or PC does. Whatever. Night. Kenji scurries back into his room, and I hear him throwing his locks as I walk down the hallway. That is why some people can't roll their tongues, or why their second toe is longer than their big toe. What? You can't say it and then not, cut out the answer? Oh my god, it seems like we just entered the classroom at the worst point, because I actually want to know, why can't people roll their tongues, or why is their second toe longer than their big toe? Is that for me the case? I don't want to take off my socks, but god damn it, I'm actually doing this. Second toe. My second toe is bigger or longer at least than my big toe. What does that mean? Am I a freak? Is that what it means? Muto beams a half-moon smile at us, obviously proud of his explanation of recessive genes. Ah, it has to do with genetics, of course. However, wait, I thought this was science class, not biology. However, no matter how impressed he is at the science that defines who we are, the classroom seems to be reduced to a stupor. Why is it that a bad explanation can make even the most interesting things seem worthless? I can see Muto deflate as he realizes that nothing he said in the past half hour has sunk in. Whispered conversations start to break the silence, and like an avalanche, the noise level in the class starts to rise. Defeated, Muto identifies some questions from the textbook and sets to clearing off the blackboard. I feel like Muto, even though you only see glimpses of him throughout every single route, I feel like he's actually a really interesting character as well, because you can definitely see that he has a passion for teaching, or at least I get the feeling that he has a passion for teaching and mainly science, right? But I always feel that throughout every single route so far, whenever he teaches, it's kind of like, not an exciting class, and most of the class always seems to agree with that, seems to just think like, okay, well, not paying attention or half asleep or just, stuff, something along those lines. But the point was, like, you can actually tell that he's very motivated or something. I mean, he's just very excited about science in general, because in two of the routes, right, he sort of approached Hisao, encouraging him to pursue a career in science. And when Hisao actually said yes, or like was like kind of interested in it, Muto actually seemed fairly different. Like, he's always like, he always comes to late class, he's always like, sometimes he's hungover. You can just see like he's kind of actually a mess, His real life is probably a mess, even though we don't know nothing about it whatsoever. We can make assumptions, but we don't know anything. But he actually was genuinely happy at those points when he felt like, yes, I actually accomplished something as a teacher. I motivated one of my students to pursue a career in the field that I am teaching, So I feel like there's actually much more to the character of Muto than we're getting from him. And part of it is because we're actually seeing him in probably all five routes, right? So I actually want to know if there's is that all we're going to see of Muto, or if there's actually going to be more behind it, because I'm actually kind of interested in it. Almost as if expected, Hanako packs up her things and leaves as soon as people start talking and laughing among themselves. The initial shock of seeing someone play so blatantly truant has started to fade, but it doesn't stop me from wondering, is she leaving because she doesn't want people to speak to her? Or is it just the thought of people around her shattering her peace? Before I can think about the topic any further, the lunch bells ring. I wonder if she was simply taking the opportunity to leave early. The usual clamor of students exchanging books for lunch reverberates around the room, and while Misha is distracted, I grab my lunch and head out the door. Lily already sits in the tea room, setting out her lunch alone. So, Hanako's not here then? Oh, Hisao, how are you? I haven't met Hanako since this morning, I'm afraid. That's right. Hanako and Lily live next to each other. Somehow, I think their morning conversations are slightly more grounded than Kenji's ramblings. That's strange. She left class early, so I figured that she'd come here. So, she's still leaving class early? Huh? Yeah, I've seen her do it a few times. Lily drops her head a little, and her tone of voice is notably depressed. It's very reminiscent of someone who is used to hearing bad news. I was so sure that she'd stop doing that once you two became friends. Everyone has their own pace, I suppose. Well, I was wondering about just that today. Why exactly does she leave? I'm not entirely sure myself. I personally think it's because she doesn't want to be put in a situation where she has to answer someone. I have a flashback of my first meeting with her, when I thought she looked like a cornered animal. Maybe I wasn't far from the truth, but she seems fine with talking to you, and with me, a bit. It's a little more complex than that. I imagine that the first thing most people ask her about is her scars, and what happened. That's true. It could also be like I've been mentioning a couple of times already that maybe people are kind of like actively avoiding her because of how her scars and everything. But I feel like it actually has to go both ways, right? I feel like people are a little bit taken aback or hesitant to approach Hanako, and I feel like Hanako is also very, very distant and actually tries to actively avoid any opportunity that would put her in a situation where she would have to talk with someone that she's not comfortable talking with, which is pretty much anyone besides Lily and perhaps Hisao a little bit now. So yeah, it definitely comes from both sides. She rarely talks about it with me, but I can tell that she doesn't like to remember whatever happened back then. Leaving class and running away from discussions is her preemptive strike, if you will. Huh. So then how does that explain her talking to me? You said it yourself yesterday, at breakfast. You tried to ignore her scars. Once she saw that you weren't going to ask her about that, she opened herself up to you. Ah, yeah, that's such a good point, you know? Because usually the worst thing about talking to someone you don't know is like, okay, what do I say against this person, right? And the first thing that people, because with Hanako, it's such an obvious thing, her scars, and like the first obvious thing that people would almost always ask is just like, okay, what happened with you, right? Why do you have those scars? So I can definitely understand that at the very beginning, just with new people in general, she's immediately going to be in the mindset, oh no, they're gonna ask me about that. So she's already very scared to begin with. And once she just realized that Hisao actually just wasn't going to ask her about that at all, I feel like she could just start acting more normal and maybe a little bit more comfortable around him as well. So that's a very good point. I guess you're right. Maybe. I don't know. You know her better than I, so I'll take your word for it. I wouldn't worry about that. I'm sure you'll come to know her as well as I do soon enough. Oh, are you from the future, Lily? You know what's gonna happen. I welcome the prospect of her having a new friend, and the two of you have such similar interests. Well, I hardly count reading as a team sport. It is good to have company, though. That's my point. Hanako is still an average person at heart. She also wants company at times like that. Huh. I see. I think. To be honest, both of you still confuse me a little. But you're still only here for like, this is the second week, Hisao? Everything about this place confuses you right now? That's only natural, Hisao. We've only known each other for a little while. It's unreasonable to expect you to understand us, just as we can't understand you. But that is half the fun of becoming friends, right? Yes, yes it is. Although, I suppose there is the matter of us being opposite genders. Men and women do seem to confuse each other quite often. She says this with a light giggle, finding amusement at the odd little details of life. I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to start eating. How rude, Lily! How dare you eat in the presence of a man? I don't know what I said. No, go ahead. I think I'll eat something too. I can actually understand. I feel really uncomfortable eating in front of other people for some reason. Like, I don't know why that is. Like, sometimes at school, I would actually just not eat at all during school and just go without food, because I always eat a hearty breakfast, you know, so it's not like I get hungry at school too often. But still, sometimes I was just like, yeah, I could eat right now, but I actually don't feel that comfortable eating in front of these people or eating in front of anyone at all, to be honest. And so I just actively not decide to, yeah, I'll just drink instead and not eat. I don't know why that is though, it's a really weird thing, but yeah. So, but that's not the reason why Lily asked permission, I guess. It's just, it's considered a formality, right? To just ask, like, if you, because some people would consider it rude, although nobody will really say like, hey, why are you eating when I'm not eating, you know? It's obviously not like that, but she had the, she went to that, what was that formal school or something, right? Formal school for ladies, where they had to eat with 32 different forks and stuff. So, yeah, that's probably one of the things that you learn there, that you sort of have to announce or that you're going to eat or something. I don't know, I've never been to one of those schools. I think I'll eat something too. I've got some books I want to drop back at the library before classes start, so I'd better get a move on. You'll probably find Hanako there as well. If you do see her, can you tell her to stop by my room later tonight? I'd like to talk with her. Girl talk. You're not coming? Unfortunately, I have a class representatives meeting later, so I'll be gone as soon as I finish my lunch. Okay then. If I don't see her in the library, then I'll tell her in class. I'm sure she'll be back after lunch. We fall silent as we start to eat, and I take a second to reflect on our conversation. I've always thought that Hanako's shyness was simply due to her being self-conscious of her scars, but that is a pretty superficial way of looking at her. Just when I thought I was able to see through the fog of Lily and Hanako, I realized that I'm more lost than when I started. Lily quickly finishes her lunch, acutely aware of her meeting. I don't blame her. Shizune is most likely going to be there, and I doubt she wants to give her the satisfaction of another argument. I must be off. Same time tomorrow? Same time, same channel. I'd better head off too. I don't want to risk being late. Lily smiles gently, picks up her cane, and walks out into the hall. I turn my back on Lily as we head in opposite directions. For some reason, I find myself hoping she doesn't get into another fight with Shizune. As much as I like Lily, Shizune and Misha have been pretty instrumental in helping me adjust, even if half of our conversations are thinly veiled recruitment attempts. Then again, I barely know either of them. Maybe they were previously leaders of some kind of secret society, but their love for each other drove them apart. Why did you have to say that? That actually, you know, saying those words, previously leaders of some kind of secret society, for some reason really reminds me of the bullshit feminism crap that Kenji always talks about. Man, I need to stop reading cheap fiction. It's rotting my brain. Either that, or I've got to move away from Kenji and his bad influence, exactly. It's sad that I can't tell the two apart anymore. I slide my books down the return chute and they crash into the cart with a pleasant thud. Yugo, however, doesn't seem as impressed as I. Hisao, you scared me. Sorry, I thought you were used to that by now. Or is the literacy level here so low that nobody borrows any books? Huh? No, I think everyone here can read fine. Yeah, never mind. There are some battles that you can never win. Trying to explain jokes is one of them. My dad taught me that the hard way. Say, Yuko, have you seen Hanako about? She left class early, but she wasn't in her usual hiding place. I think I saw her sneak in before lunch. Oh, but I'm not supposed to tell anyone that. I just told you that I saw her leave. No need to stress out. Oh, of course. She's probably in the back. Thanks. Get any new books in recently? No, sorry. I'll let you know when we do, though. Okay. If there's one thing I know about librarians, part-time or otherwise, is that they appreciate people who take a genuine interest in their work. I walked the now familiar path to Hanako's reading nook, picking out a few titles along the way. Sometimes, I find it hard to discover a book that will interest me amongst the shelves. An author's name or a two-word title don't mean much in a sea of similar words. For that reason, I sometimes reread books that I read in the past. Better to bet on the favorite than a new runner. An unfamiliar title from a familiar author peeks out among the spines of its neighbors, so I remove it from the shelf. At least I'm not going over old material. As expected, Hanako sits on her beanbag, buried deep in a copy of Dance Dance Revolution. Hi Hanako, how's it going? I fight back the urge to ask why she left class early. If Lily's suspicions were right, then asking her about that could have the opposite effect. Best to leave it for the time being. Sometimes the best way to get an answer from someone is to never ask the question exactly. I feel like if we just don't ask those questions to Hanako, I feel at some point the closer we get to Hanako, and also if we don't ask those questions, Hanako will allow us to get even closer to her. But the closer we get to her, she will probably be mentioning those things herself, I think. Hello, Hisao. I'm fine. Something seems off, and after a couple of seconds, I realize what it is. Hanako is smiling. She looks as if she's pleased to see me. It's a nice change from the usual, instinctively frightened reaction, and something I hope I can see more of as we get to know each other better. Good to hear. How is that book? I heard it's a trip. It's good, I think. I've only just started it, so I don't really know. Fair enough. Let me know how it goes. I may borrow it once you're done. Sure. There's a good 15 minutes left in lunch. Not enough to really get into a book, but too much to stand around doing nothing. And Hanako's already returned to her reading, so I doubt I'll get much of a conversation from her. Oh well, I'd better make myself comfortable. I slouch into a beanbag and crack open my book. The familiar style of the author leaps out at me from the very first line. As the sentences turn into paragraphs, I start to relax a little. But no matter how I try, I can't seem to get myself into the atmosphere of the book. This is partly due to the lack of time, but the more distracting factor is Hanako. Every 10 or so seconds, she peers over the top of her book, but when our eyes meet, she quickly ducks behind the covers. Oh, this is so adorable. Like, is Hisao still here? Oh, he is. Oh, quickly, don't know eye contact. You can definitely tell that Hanako likes us. At least, I'm not sure if it's to say like already, but she definitely, we'll just give it 1 like, not 2 likes. 2 likes is like, 1 like is like. Obviously, for fucking obvious reasons. Holy shit. Did I really have to explain that? Apparently I had to just explain it to myself. But yeah, we'll give it 1 like so far. I guess she did want to talk about something after all. And what's up? You look like a prairie dog on lookout. It's nothing. I've told you before, nothing means something when you say it like that. Hanako squirms a little in her beanbag, hoping that by changing her position, she'll find the word she's looking for. I was in an accident. Accident? Just now? Are you alright? Hanako shakes her head, her hair flowing around her shoulders in wisps of amethyst on a background of pale and dark flesh. No, when I was younger. See, she opens up about it herself. Aww. Realization crashes into me like a semi. When I was... It's alright, Hanako. You don't have to tell me anything if you don't want to. Again, she shakes her head. No, I want. I have to tell you. Aww, did she draw this? When I was young, I was in a fire. My house burned down, and I nearly didn't make it. After that, I was alone. This is so weird, you know. It's such a sad and touching moment because Hanako is opening up about her past. But something about these drawings is just really cute and innocent in the way that it's drawn, you know, like it's drawn by a 5-year-old. Hanako's eyes glisten in the dim light of the library, and I reach out to grasp her hand. It's okay, Hanako. You don't have to keep going. But I have to. Why? What brought this on? Last night, Lily told me about your heart. And I didn't think it was fair. Fair? That I knew about you, but you didn't know about me. I squeeze Hanako's hand a little. Don't be silly. But yes, I have a heart condition. I lean a little closer to Hanako. What I didn't tell Lily is that I had my first heart attack, or first attack, when a girl confessed to me. I smile a little to break the tension. Really? Really. I haven't heard from her for a while though, so I guess it's all over. I know it's all over. There's no other way to interpret what happened the last time I saw her. In some ways, not having heard from her again has helped me move on from that period of my life. So now, we both know a little more about each other, but you don't have to talk about things if you don't want to. In fact, I feel a little bad even thinking about that whole incident. I can almost smell the hospital's disinfectant burning the back of my sinuses again. I imagine Hanako is going through the same thing now. When I was in the hospital, I went to the burn ward once, and only once. I was bored, so I went for a walk through all the wards. I went through oncology, and thought I could take it, but when I got to the burn ward, I turned around and went back to my bed. To think that Hanako would have spent months in a place like that, smelling nothing but corrupted skin, strong disinfectant, and sterilized air. The really bad cases were kept in isolated pods that no foreign objects could enter. That would have meant no reading. I could have gone insane if I didn't have my books in the hospital. And she said she was alone. Did her parents die? I'll have to ask Lily about it. I can imagine myself saying something dumb unintentionally. Thank you, Hisao. I haven't told many people about this. To be honest, I haven't told many people about my circumstances either. Then I won't tell anyone either. Deal. I changed my grip on Hanako's hand into a handshake as the warning bells chimed through the window. Well then, we'd better head back to class then, eh? Sure. Oh, that was such a, touching moment where both of them are just sharing something between them. What? Already? What? Act 3? That is fast.
This seems like the fastest transition between Act 2 and 3. Okay, that was really weird, but I guess I'll just end the video here then. I didn't expect that at all. There was one choice in here though, right? Did we just pick the right choice that sort of, you know, makes the bonding with Hanako become easier and quicker, rather than taking, for example, the harder routes? I don't know, but anyway, I'm gonna have to end this video here. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.